not over. It's not going to be over for a while.
Coronavirus concerns aren't going anywhere. We've seen hundreds of new cases and a hold on reopenings in Oregon. But experts say it's important to keep it in perspective.
I think we need to be extremely careful about what data are data and what are extrapolations.
Another weekend of demonstrations and more steps toward change, from tearing down statues to NASCAR's first race without the Confederate flag. We take a look at how the protests are sparking action.
We looked up and we saw the funnel coming down, and that's when me and my buddy looked at each other and we were like, we need to get in the house, like right now.
A rare tornado forms over Damascus, Oregon, tearing through trees and damaging cars. And these two women might just be the ultimate mother-daughter duo. They completed medical school together, and now they're set to work in the same hospital.
We want to be a positive image for other people so they can see that this is possible.
How they motivated each other and how they're inspiring the next generation of doctors. KGW News at Sunrise starts right now.
They honestly look like sisters.
They do.
Like, that's so awesome. Congrats to them. Good morning. Thank you for getting up with us on a rainy Monday.
Oh, it is rainy. Drew has the day off. He's at home. Rod is working, but from home. You're up and at 'em with a look at that forecast.
Yeah, you know, one thing that's been pretty consistent lately is the 7-day forecast showing that Saturday rain. Not much around yesterday, and then now the rain's back today and tomorrow. So all of that has been a go in our forecast for a while. Here's Doppler Radar. We have rain that's been steady the last several hours, but it's now starting to break up here in the valley and also in spots along the coast. But overall, it's still a pretty wet-looking radar, isn't it? So rain at times continuing throughout the day today, and we'll be warming up to about, well, if you call it warming up, 63, the expected high. Back to you.
I like that 7-day forecast. We're going to see that in a few minutes. Rod, thank you. We start with the latest coronavirus numbers in Oregon because, like many states across the country, we are seeing a spike in cases. You can see those new cases started going up within the past week, and it didn't slow down this weekend either. Yesterday, the Oregon Health Authority said 101 more people tested positive. 32 of those cases are in Multnomah County. 20 are in Marion County. 2 more people have died of the virus, a 95-year-old woman from Multnomah County and a 70-year-old woman from Washington County. Saturday, OHA reported 158 more cases and 1 death. These are some of the highest single-day totals for cases that we've seen in the past week. And these numbers caused Governor Kate Brown to put a hold on all counties reopening applications in Oregon until at least this Friday. But while we're seeing more cases, it's important to get some context. So we talked with Portland State biology professor Dr. Ken Stedman. He's called the virus hunter, and he says one of the big upticks we saw came from Pacific Seafood in Newport. Workers started to test positive there in early June.
There's that huge spike, and that makes a big difference in terms of the average. Everything is relatively level, so I don't think we're seeing a really huge increase right now.
We've also seen several outbreaks at senior care facilities. These workplace outbreaks are easy to trace, and that has led to some of the spikes we've seen. Right now, it's also too early to tell if all the protests will lead to a spike in cases. Multnomah County officials say so far just 5 people who've tested positive disclosed that they were at a protest march. Still, a lot of people unhappy that restrictions are still in place. A group of young athletes, parents, and coaches gathered outside the Salem State Capitol demanding that contact sports restart. Now, this group is part of the Let Them Play in Oregon movement. They came out to play soccer and toss footballs yesterday. The group wants to talk with lawmakers about restarting sports and say keeping kids out of sports is hurting their social and emotional health.
And I think it was really important for us to bring them here, show them these are where the decisions are made, and also remind those that are making those decisions, these are real kids, and there's real negative side effects to keeping them out of their activities.
The Let Them Play movement started on Facebook in early June. The group has about 24,000 followers around the state. Well, we also saw some protests of a different kind this weekend. Nationwide, people are still gathering to demand racial equality and an end to police brutality.
Demonstrators were out again in Portland, but we want to start this morning with the protests in Atlanta. That's where a police officer shot an unarmed black man on Friday. Here's Tracy Potts.
Anger and frustration spilling into the streets of Atlanta after another police shooting involving a black man. The scene of that shooting torched over the weekend. Rayshard Brooks was running away when he appeared to point a taser at officers. Officer Garrett Rolfe shot and killed him. Rolfe was fired. The police chief resigned.
That video is disturbing to watch, but I'm not sure that it's as clear as what we've seen around the country on some of the other issues.
This latest shooting comes as Congress considers police reform, tracking misconduct, and eliminating chokeholds and no-knock warrants.
These are meaningful reforms that will hold police accountable.
Have an act that requires more data to be provided so that we can actually come out with policies that are consistent.
Lawmakers pressured by protesters to pull money from police and reinvest it into social services.
Nobody is going to defund the police. We can restructure the police forces, reimagine policing. That is what we're going to do.
The medical examiner has ruled Brooks' death a homicide. 2 bullets in the back, fueling growing frustration and demands for change. Tracy Potts, NBC News.
Back here locally, thousands marched in Portland this weekend and say they won't stop until they see lasting reform. Overnight, police say they arrested several demonstrators at the Justice Center for throwing glass bottles and fireworks at the officers. Before that confrontation, a large group gathered at Jefferson High School around 6 o'clock last night. From there, they marched to Alberta Park in Northeast Portland. And take a look at this. Video on social media shows a group at the high school tearing down a statue of Thomas Jefferson. You see them all gathered around, and at one point they're cheering. Our photojournalist Eric Patterson is giving us this live look right now. The statue there is on the ground, and the words "slave owner" are written on the pedestal. Jefferson was the 3rd president of the United States and also owned hundreds of slaves. Well, that is not the only statue we saw taken down. In Eugene, 2 historic pioneer statues at the University of Oregon were toppled. They've been on that campus for decades, but they have a controversial history. A local newspaper report from back in the 1930s says statues like these spread through the West to celebrate white conquest of the land. It's not clear yet who tore down the statues. A street name is also under scrutiny in North Portland. A Change.org petition is gaining momentum to rename Calhoun Avenue in the St. John's neighborhood. The creators of that petition say the street is named after John C. Calhoun. He was the 7th vice president, but also a staunch defender of slavery. The petition would rename the street DePriest Avenue after James DePriest. He was the first African-American conductor at the Oregon Symphony and led the group for more than 20 years.
It's only four blocks, so it's not a big expense for the city.
And I think our one concern is that DePriest probably deserves a much bigger street.
We reached out to the Portland Bureau of Transportation. It couldn't confirm the street was actually named after John Calhoun, but it said it is willing to review any street name that has a history associated with racism or white supremacy. It's 6:09. We want to take a quick peek and talk about the weather right now. So if you guys live in the Damascus area, you may have seen that funnel cloud on Saturday. The National Weather Service confirms it was an EF0 tornado. A lot of you sent in pictures and videos. Here's Joe Ranieri with a closer look.
Saturday night brought a rare tornado to rural Clackamas County. Strong winds flipped up some of this patio furniture, and huge branches littered this property. A video from Mike Boddington shows just how wide the storm was as it came through Happy Valley. You look close enough, you can see debris getting picked up and tossed around. Tanner Benson saw firsthand how destructive the tornado was.
We looked up and we saw the funnel coming down, and that's when me and my buddy looked at each other and we were like, we need to get in the house, like right now. So I didn't see anything else after that, but I saw the funnel coming down and was like, we need to go.
After just a few minutes seeking shelter inside his house,
The wind was just insane. It was just powerful, like pure power.
he came outside to see the damage.
One that was on my property that went down, that was the biggest one. Then we had one that was on my neighbor's property that came down and crushed my back fence.
The real damage happened to 3 of Tanner's cars when this tree came down, crushing the roof of one of his SUVs.
All right, that was Joe Ranieri reporting. So, Rod, you know, EF0, it is on the lowest end of the scale, but still, are they out of the woods? Anything else on your radar, so to speak?
I will tell you, no stormy skies today. Tomorrow, I don't think the chance of thunder and lightning is very good, but we will see at least stormy-looking skies on your Tuesday with some downpours and some hail. And a quick note, one thing that was particularly scary about this tornado that hit the Damascus area Saturday is that there wasn't really a big heads up. You know, often in these weak tornadoes, we have big outbreaks of thunder and lightning and hail, and you're like, wow, something's going on. But this time we didn't really see much of that. It was just kind of rain, and then all of a sudden this funnel popped up and produced the mainly tree damage that we saw with those 75-mile-per-hour winds estimated from the National Weather Service. Okay, here's a look at Doppler radar. There's a big upper-level low offshore, and that's going to be coming inland tomorrow. So between now and tomorrow, it's rain at times. Now, the biggest push of steady rain is what we had overnight. We're actually getting a break up and down parts of Portland and Salem on the I-5 corridor right now. But there will be numerous showers coming and going, generally speaking, throughout the day. If anything, you will notice the rain being a bit more scattered once we get into this afternoon. And then I mentioned that tomorrow's the day we'll kind of be looking for stormy skies. Here's Tuesday at 8:30. Look at those yellow-orange colors. That would be some hail showers. I don't think the thunderstorm chance is very high tomorrow. I think it's mostly going to be downpours with hail. And two-day rain totals, on average, kind of sniffing about a half of an inch. Everybody has some rain in the forecast today with state temperatures in the 50s and 60s. Summer starts Saturday. Get this. Dun, dun, dun. Saturday could be sunny and 80 for the start of summer. Back to you.
Yes. All right, Rod, I have been waiting for that news for a long time. Thank you so much. Hey, we want to get back to traffic alerts because we have two big ones this morning. This is I-84 eastbound. You see those flashing lights right there, and just behind them, a semi that rolled over onto its side about a half an hour ago. It is blocking those two left lanes. Headed east, but you can see traffic getting by in that far right lane. And then we take you over to the west side, Highway 26 right at Murray. Look at the backup here. This is looking westbound, so if you are headed toward the Hillsborough area, this is going to stop you dead in your tracks. This was Beaverton police chasing a stolen car, and they did a pit maneuver to stop that car. That's what all those police flashing lights are right there at the entrance to Murray. So avoid Highway 26 West if you can. We'll be right back.